Hey there, listener. Conrad here. I just want to apologize for the audio on my end in this episode. It seems I was recording with entirely the wrong microphone and didn't notice, didn't think to check, and now I sound like crap. So, sorry for that, but enjoy the episode.
We've done this podcast how long now? Over 10 years? I've still not learned to clap my hands in a way that doesn't fucking sting. For listeners who may not know, I think we've talked about it more than once before, but we synchronize our voices because we've got separate recordings. Laura will count us down and then we will all clap just to create on the waveform a very clear visual line that can be aligned with everyone's recording. And so we do a big clap, and I've been doing it for over 10 years, and I still do it really exuberantly and hurt my hands.
Like it's the first time you've ever done a podcast and you're so excited.
Yeah, just giddy. I've also just noticed, while we're going over old bits, because I have nothing new this week, I have just noticed on my desk the ingot is back, because yeah, I've not seen it for a while. I hadn't seen it since I moved from when I was staying at Fees when I first moved, and I knew it was around, but it just hadn't been put anywhere where I could see it. But it's been on my desk, and it's still really heavy. I should do that actually. Instead of clapping for the sync, it should be 3, 2, 1. Buff.
I mean, as long as you can time the drop and not break your desk or anything else in the process, nothing wrong with that.
Make no guarantees. I can never guarantee that I won't break something. Luckily, the something is usually myself. If there is a way for injury to find me, it will. I think that's why I do the hardcore wrestling matches, is so I can get ahead of it. Because I am always getting hurt.
I'm going to push back. I've seen what you do to controllers.
You have seen what I do. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I never said it's always me. Sometimes it is my controllers, because I have fucking emotional issues with the old bipolars. And yes, it is a note of embarrassment for me.
Oh, I just assumed it was wear and clumsiness. I didn't think it was frustration.
Oh, no, that came out at one point because someone was trying to score points. My bipolar brings with it, like, huge anger issues. I kind of knocked it on the head in the past couple of years. I've mostly channeled it into yelling really awful things at the screen if I get annoyed. The amount of homophobic slurs that Kronos has heard while playing Hades 2, because they're the ones I can get away with. No, but seriously, the straights would be shocked if they realised just how often in queer conversation certain words come up. Hello, everyone.
No, that's so common. I know so many trans people who use what are, slurs, straight up trans slurs in common language all the time, and it's totally normal and fine.
I will drop them occasionally, because, at this point, 99% of my social circle is some form of gender different or trans, or, like a lot of gender fluid people I know, and obviously a lot of trans people and that. And my favourite one that I've been yelling is practicing homosexual. It's such a satisfying insult to hurl at a boss that's kicked my ass. Just fuck you, you're practicing homosexual. Great days. Great slur-filled days.
See, practicing homosexual to me implies that they're getting laid, and I don't want that kind of joy for them.
True, but it does also imply that they're not good at it.
No, that's true, because they're still trying to...
Because I never said they're improving practicing homosexuals.
You haven't got, like, a qualification in homosexual yet. Get on that.
Exactly.
In fairness, there's a lot of heterosexuals that could use some practice, too.
Most of them. Fee pointed out to me once that apparently the average cis-het sexual encounter lasts on average 7 minutes.
I have heard similar numbers, yeah.
Which is like the blink of an eye to me. But I can confirm that when I was in, certainly before I came out, what would have been seen as a cis-het relationship, I knocked those on the head as quick as possible. It really was a case of let's get this done. So, having enjoyed both sides of the coin, I can say that, I've really got to block out a window of time now.
Well, and that's the problem that, you run into eventually, is that, like, okay, this is going to take at minimum 45 minutes. Do I have that kind of time in my day with everything else going on?
Yeah, like, and that'll be it, like, and it really could be anywhere from 45 minutes to many hours, and like you got to make sure you've got a window clear, because I don't know how long that's going to go on for. If you've just joined us, listeners, we're showing off about how often and how brilliantly we have sex, and I can confirm that it is often, and it is brilliantly, bordering on majestically, if I'm to be honest, which I am frequently, loudly, and cringily. Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hey.
How is everyone? I'm busy. I took that. I keep calling that video break I'm still on a hiatus because I could never have called it a vacation. Busy as hell. Got more writing gigs now, and still not properly moved in. So and we're at the point now where people think the Jimquisition is done. So it's not.
I'm similarly having an unexpectedly busy one at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up some mock review work, and before it finished, right as I was trying to wrap it up, I picked up a freelance article, and then on the same day was like, "Do you want to move straight into another mock review piece?" So I'm good. Just having a lot of doing a lot of that work that it'll be like a year and a half before I can say, "Oh, I did some work on that at some point."
Yeah. I know the feeling there. There's some content for one of the games I have worked on. There's some content I wrote roughly 2 years ago that I've been patiently waiting to turn up. And every time it comes up, it's always, we're just about to put the finishing touches on that. Don't know if I'll ever see it. But yeah, it's good to still have work coming in. I really hope that Date Everything gets a sequel, because obviously a lot of it's contingent on how well it did, and from what I've heard, it was record breaking for Team 17 and that, magnificently, and I really hope so, because I've had so many ideas for things to date that I think would be a crime if they didn't manifest in some way. So I'm sitting here not just because I'd love a bit of extra work, but I'm certainly hoping there's DLC or a sequel or something, just so I can do my brilliant ideas. I'm enjoying work, which
I am
is so
glad
good
to hear
say.
that. Hell yeah.
It's so nice not being on YouTube for a while. I talk about how it's not a vacation, and this was the most stressful house move I've ever had, and I am busier than I have been in a long, long time. But I'm way less stressed than when I was doing a video a week, because I'm not dealing with YouTube, and I don't currently have to... I've not paid much attention to social media a lot of the time, not had to follow game news so much, and I am so much less stressed, so much calmer.
YouTube's going through it now.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's the drama, the latest drama, but view numbers plummeted, but engagement stayed high.
I watched an interesting video from Josh Strife Hayes about that one, where it's like the views apparently aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, it's YouTube is no longer counting views from people with ad blocker as views. So if someone with an ad blocker manages to see the video, it won't add a view to the view count, which is why specifically views seemingly were going down disproportionately on desktop rather than other sources, because those viewers weren't stopping watching. They just weren't counting as a view anymore.
Yeah, and of course, YouTube being YouTube didn't tell anyone.
No.
Didn't warn anyone. Didn't communicate this at all.
It's questionable if they knew.
Well, yeah.
It's one of those. It may be the workaround that the ad blockers used is why it's happening, not that YouTube changed something. But the fact that there is no clear communication about where that change came from,
Yeah, there never is any communication, and YouTube makes me so fucking angry. Like, and not on my count anymore, because frankly, I kind of love how my setup is now, in that I have a YouTube channel that is at this point undead. Like, it's not dead, it's undead, in that by all metrics it's dead, except for the one that really matters, which is in terms of it still makes money. My business is fine.
Yeah, and you're not affected by the ad market stuff going on over there because you don't derive your revenue from YouTube.
No. I'm so divorced from YouTube's ecosystem that it really doesn't matter. To the point where, if it wasn't for the fact that I think sometimes those still subscribed do still get notified, I was thinking of when the videos do come back, just really broadcasting my lack of fucks by making the videos, making them all unlisted, just to really demonstrate how, to me, it's nothing but a host. For me to, quite literally a host for me to parasitize off of, which, is good for the goose and the gander in this case. Yeah, it's very freeing to just be 100% free of, I don't have to cater to the algorithm. I think one day, even what I'm doing will be made unviable by YouTube, because they won't want to host that kind of thing forever. So they will do something to outright, I think, block videos from being seen if they're full of swearing or non-conforming to the algo in some way, as mine are. At which point I will up sticks. Right now it's just convenient to still use. But yeah, I am continuingly so glad that I literally don't have a fuck to give anymore. That I'm in negative fucks now, because my channel is inoculated. As I say, it is undead, because it ain't growing. It will only keep losing subscribers, and it literally doesn't matter, because I genuinely only care about the people who are still supporting it, seeing it, because in terms of like growth and getting my name out there,
mission accomplished.
Well, that, and I have that need for like a sense of career growth. I get that from the writing now, so
yeah. Well, you know what else sometimes brings us joy on occasion? Sometimes video games. We got some of them probably to
occasionally,
talk about.
Yeah. The ones that aren't published by most publishers, increasing amounts of publishers.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. But who's been playing stuff this week? Who's been playing things?
Have we all played Hades 2?
I didn't play it.
Believe. Oh, okay. Well, me and you have, Steph. We can talk about Hades too.
Oh no, I just remembered, because you weren't mega taken by the first Hades, Conrad. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah. It's I'm less taken by, like, I haven't touched it since I think the first early access update. I wasn't interested in any of the weapons, really.
Right. Yeah.
The spinny skulls, I like those are kind of fun to use, but apart from that, I really was not feeling any of it, and
it took me a while.
Yeah.
Now that I've got the hang of them, I really, really like them, especially the throwing skulls that I thought sucked when I first tried them. And I just had my first win against Kronos with them today. And it took a lot of tries. Do you know how many tries it took me to beat Kronos? 33. I beat Kronos on Expedition 33. I'm so fucking happy about that.
Yeah, I initially didn't have a great first impression of Hades 2, and I think a large part of that is I got really invested in one specific weapon in Hades 1 that there wasn't a close analogue for, I think quite deliberately, in Hades 2, which was the Gilgamesh fists, which was super quick, and they worked really well with builds that had, like, double, triple, quadruple dodges, and, like, stacking up poison, which isn't really a thing in the new one. And, like, for a while I was searching for trying to recreate a build that this just didn't have a way to make. That being said, I have gotten really into it with time. I really like some of the distance casting magic wand items.
Yes.
I've been really enjoying those with, like, builds centered around lightning, fire, and water, and getting it so that all of my lightning effects that chain and bounce around a bunch of times also inflict Scorch that does damage over time and kind of scratches that poison itch. And also I have water and fire doing steam, and the water is like pushing things away to keep that distance because I'm such a ranged attack user, and that's been really satisfying.
And I think that's what Hades 2 does a little differently from the first one, is a lot of the weapons in this one are not immediately out of the box great. When you have something like the fists in the first one, the first time I used those, I was like, this is fucking amazing. Same with the shield in that one. I was like, this is immediately brilliant. This one, and I don't know like how many people out there would agree, but I feel like with this one, you've got to wait for the weapons to come into their own a bit. It's a lot more, I think builds are more important here. And when you open up the alternative versions of the weapons, that's when they get fucking great.
It feels less like you can pick one weapon and go, oh, if I load this up with the basic attack from that one boon I like, that will carry me. And I think that, like, it feels like duo boons are way easier to deliberately get.
Yeah.
Like, I know for a fact if I, on those ones, put lightning in my main attack slot and fire in my special, within a 1 or 2 rerolls of either the fire or the lightning boon, I'll probably get off of the duo.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can so reliably seek those duos is really important given how much those kind of synergies are where you need to start building a build from, more than just, this build is, I put poison on the fists.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that this one has done is it incentivizes mixing it up a lot more, whereas before, I remember in the last game, really working my builds around one set of boons, like one god set of boons. Whereas in this one, I think there are a lot more potential rewards for taking a little bit from each god, because there are quite a few really good all-purpose ones that like don't take up your attack or your cast or your special. And a lot of, as you say, a lot of synergies are really nice in this one. You get the duos a lot more, and you get you can get rewards for... I think the only place where consistency matters a great deal is if you really care about those elements, gathering like those elements to strengthen things. But even then, it's not a make or break.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had my most success with really mixing up the different elements and the different attack styles and gods and things.
Yeah. I also really appreciate the fact that there are more tools in your toolset that, again, don't take up that main attack or special slot. I think a lot about the moon abilities.
It took me a while to like those. Again, I had to wait for them to come into their own.
Yeah. Initially, I kept forgetting to use them. Like, I forgot they were there for a while. But yeah, if you get used to, like, the second that thing is available, activate it, and, like, be using it as frequently as possible,
Yeah.
a lot of them give you either really good breathing room or just a second to, like, a lot of them I've ended up using as defensive tools for attacks I know I'm bad at dodging in boss fights.
Yeah.
It's really nice to have those in the back pocket.
Some of the bosses really are, like, brutal at points with the attacks, and I think having those specific counters, that's a really good play. On the subject of hexes, I fucking hated them at first, and a lot of them didn't seem, they were so case specific, but over time some of them I still don't like the ones that take a long time to cast or leave you vulnerable. But when I worked out the one that resurrects the last enemy you killed, when I learned that worked in the Skiller fight, I was fucking delighted. Really pleased.
Yeah, like, there's a couple of them that don't feel as good as they seem like they should be, because I have to always catch myself to not confuse the one that makes you invincible and gives you a different toolset, which I think is good, versus the one that fires a laser of, like, 800 damage, but doesn't give you invulnerability.
Yeah, it just gets me killed.
The number of times I have forgotten that beam is not the same as the invincibility moveset beam one, and, like, taken a shit ton of health is not great.
I was so disappointed by the healing one as well, because I think maybe if you got it right at the beginning of a run and leveled it up, maybe it would be good, but, like, the last time I used that one, I was healing for almost nothing compared to the health pool that I had, and it was so disappointing.
What I've found it useful for, and I don't know, this is unlocked for me, but I don't know if this is because the game's gone into 1.0 or if it's a thing you have to progress to a point of. Are you getting that sometimes the hexes will have, like, a specific god attached to them and have, like, a special god ability?
I've not encountered that. Is that separate from the star chart that you use to level them up?
So, you know that star chart?
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're, like, selecting which hex to get a star chart for, it'll have, like, a thing on it that's like it's blessed by a god, and one of the spaces on the star chart will be, like, a different colour border around it. And that will generally, if you get that offered for, like, the healing ability, it changes it from a set amount of healing to X number of seconds of percentage-based healing when you activate it.
Right.
Which, it's not that far to get. I would say, like, 4 or 5 squares deep in the hex when it gets offered, which is, like, 1, maybe 2 sets of going through the star chart, is enough to be like, oh, it's now healing a percentage of my health bar a couple of times per fight. This is a much more viable heal. Because, yeah, when it's, like, a set number, unless you really invest in it, you're right, it's not a huge amount. It can, like, pull your ass out the fire a couple of times, but when you start getting the god abilities offered on the hexes, if you get one offered on the healing hex, it makes it a way more viable hex.
I see. I may have gotten a god one, but just not noticed, just because I've been leveling them up as they come. I really want to like the one that turns enemies into sheeps. I love it conceptually, but when I'm trying to think of building towards boss fights, I've found it doesn't help me out too much.
The thing I found about it that I didn't anticipate is it does work on some mini-bosses.
Oh yeah, it works on Guardians. Yeah, that's fine.
Which, you know, I'm never going to go for it first, but it is more useful than I expected it to be occasionally.
Yeah, it's good for Guardians. It's okay for some... Not many bosses.
No.
That is one, I think, if you're kitted out for the bosses and just want to stay alive before then, maybe. But I'm so boss-focused, because that's where the difficulty is, for me at least. But yeah, I really like the game. Like, I don't want to just point out the hexes, because, you know, that's just a small part of it. I've started a little draft of my review, and just to say what I said at the beginning, because I think it's the most important bit, is there's only one drawback with Hades 2, and that's that Hades came out first. That's the biggest drawback, is Hades, one of its I'd say its ultimate success was the sense of revelation you got as it kept going and going and going, and it kept opening up and unfurling, and just the depth and breadth of it was such a surprise. And it's the one thing Hades 2 can't quite recapture because we've seen it. That said, that's the only drawback, because otherwise everything it does is just as good as Hades.
And even then, I would say, I think it had a moment for me that did capture some of that magic, and it was the realization that this game was roughly twice as big. And that moment was like oh, okay, yeah, you did catch me there, you did catch me there.
Oh, do you mean like with going up as well as down?
Yeah, once realizing that going up was going to be just as much, if not a bigger journey than going down was, I was like, oh!
That is cool. Like, I really like the two different paths and just how different they feel. That is one thing I like, is there's some nice gimmicks with some of the levels now, where it's not just room to room to room, because you got the Morning Fields, which just throws a bunch of encounters in one big map, and then you've got the city.
Yes, I love having all those doors, and you're like, you can pick 5 of them, go.
Yeah. It's little things like that, tweaks and plays on the formula, where it really stands out, I think.
It finds its little moments to surprise and delight in a way that, like, it doesn't just feel like it's retreading the same ground. Even if, much like playing something like playing Tears of the Kingdom after Breath of the Wild, there's going to be some degree of, I know a little of what to expect, and it's not going to be quite the same experience as a result.
Yeah, and like I say, it's an important point to make, just because I think there's a really good point to make for the power of that kind of revelation and that kind of Russian doll of surprises. But it is far from a major criticism. It's, if nothing else, it's praise for Hades. It's not an admonishment of Hades 2. Because for the most part, they struck twice with this. Like, it is as expertly written, it is as enjoyable to play, and the extra little details are really nice. I love the familiars. I think they're fucking great. I can have a pet frog if I want. That is brilliant. Although, if I really want to try and win a run, I will obviously bring the cat.
Oh yeah, 1000% the cat.
But also, once I unlocked that weapon, the version of the Witch's Staff that creates a second casting circle on the familiar, and then puts this beam of DPS between you and it. Just great. Those are the things. It's not... This game doesn't have the one big train of surprises, but it's got great little treats. It's got great moments throughout. As you say, like, there are these moments where it does bring back some of that, like, real sense of delight. And obviously it's got a completely different story and everything, and more characters. Like, it's fun to see which characters from Greek myth they're going to bring up. That's really good. I go back and forth on the story as compared to the first one, because the first one was such a brilliant concept. A rebelling son, and this whole thing being like, all of this violence for a family dispute, which is so fucking Greek myth. Whereas this one is a lot more, at least in terms of the basic plot, the pitch. It's a basic revenge story, which is, I love revenge stories. They're some of my favourites, so it's still really good.
I will ask, have you had any successes against either direction yet?
Yes, I beat Kronos. And I just want to say, that's why I say the basic pitch. The basic conceit is not as arresting as the first one, but very much like the weapons and other parts of this game, I am still liking how... Basically, I'm just enjoying it more and more as I play. And anything that I wasn't mega sold on does win me over almost consistently.
Having seen the credits roll, I do really like where they take the plot.
Yeah.
even if I can see the critique of the starting premise.
Yeah, and it's not, again, these criticisms are so minor. They're barely criticisms. It's just, I preferred this to this, but the thing that I don't prefer is still fucking great, and I'll more than happily take it. And to wit, I will say, Kronos is a great villain.
Oh,
He's
superbly
such
performed.
a wonderful twat. They struck that fine line that you have to strike with certain characters where you want someone who you really want to punch in the face, but you've got to make them entertaining at the same time, and he is someone I really want to see fail, but he is delicious to watch, and that's great.
He sneers down his nose at literal gods as if they were petulant children in a way that is very satisfying.
The line of, you're no mere god, to show, like, yeah, they're so beneath him that he considers gods lesser than many other things, is great. I want to do a video at some point on the thing they patched out with Kronos, because they were right to patch it out. It's also a tragedy they patched it out. Originally, when you paused the game, he'd unpause it because he's the Titan of Time, and it was such a recapturing of like a Kojima moment.
Mm-hmm.
I get why they did it. They should have, and I
think I wrote a video about this when this first was introduced into the early access version of the game. I maintain there is a way they could have done it that could have maintained that experience for people who wanted to have that experience, while not creating the situation they currently have. Because the original solution they had was, you can get rid of that, but you have to beat Kronos multiple times, which is an inaccessible barrier. I really do think they could have done, it happens to you once, and something unlocks in the accessibility menu that goes, if you want to turn that mechanic off now that you know it exists, you can.
The whole point of it is to have the gag, right? Nobody wants to make the bad player experience, you know? And the bad player experience is a side effect of it. You can give them the impact of that moment and give them the sense of, oh shit, I'm dealing with something totally on another level. And then have another character introduce a counter to it. That it just doesn't, affect things any further.
Yeah, that's one way. You could have him unpause it, but then pause it again just to show you he can. There are so many workarounds.
If it was a case of leave it as it was or have it as it is now, I'm glad they have it as it is now, even if I think it is one of those cases where, like, you could have just talked to disabled people and gone, what are some approaches that would work for you? And we probably could find some good compromises.
There are many. I will say the actual concept is so brilliant. Like, it's just perfect. It really made me think of the original Metal Gear. Like, it made me think of Psycho Mantis, which it's so hard to get a game to do that these days. And it's cute that he, the compromise they have is cute, where he just talks while as you pause. That's also just one thing I really like about him, is if you do anything before dealing with him, it comes with a little comment, a little snide remark. Like those moments between levels where he's waiting to talk to you, and if you use the shop first, he's just take your time. Like, just really catty. He's such a catty bitch, and I like that a lot. I really like the characters this time around. I really like some of the redesigns. I can't handle how hot the boys are now. I can't deal with Moros. Or Hermes. I can't deal with them. They're too hot. And Apollo.
Yeah. Oh, Hades 2? Having a great time with it.
Yeah.
What about you, Conrad? What have you been playing this week?
Well, you and I have been playing CloverPit.
Oh, yeah. How are you finding CloverPit?
I just sort of happened upon this. I was on the Steam store, seeking to purchase something else. Like, I had intent to be there. And it presented me CloverPit, and I said, yes, please. It is a slot machine roguelike. I would situate it very comfortably between two games that it is in bundles with on Steam.
Yeah,
I would put it right between Inscription and Buckshot Roulette in terms of what it's doing. You're in a grungy little closet type thing with a table that has a slot machine on it, a ATM type machine on the wall that demands you give it coins, and behind you some trinkets you can buy that will increase your odds on the slot machine. And so you pay into the slot machine and you get two choices. You can get more spins or fewer spins. And fewer spins come with more money to buy trinkets with. They call them charms. You get $2 for that versus one with the more spins, but you get the coins with the more spins, and the coins are what you need to meet your limited deadline goal of X number of coins deposited within 3 rounds on the slot machine.
So yeah, if you think you're going to hit your financial goals, you can opt to have fewer chances to earn money, to instead get more of these little Chuck E. Cheese tokens that are going to get you the stuff that will long-term put you toward a build.
Or if your only bonuses are coming during the last spin of a go at the slot machine, there may be merit to taking the fewer spins because getting the money for the charms might be more valuable. There's like a fair bit of strategic thought that has to go into this decision.
Yeah, because some of the nuance comes from things like, if you pay off the amount that you have to pay off early, where you still had more sittings at the slot machine available, you get, like, a bunch of extra tokens for buying trinkets, but you've given up more opportunities to be pulling that lever and be getting additional money that, like, if you earned extra money before paying in and getting the next threshold you have to hit, you've sort of gotten a head start on earning the next amount of money.
And not just that, too, because there are a lot of the charms will have effects that can permanently increase the value of either the symbols or the patterns that score. So fewer spins means fewer opportunities to trip those rewards and increase those values. And then there's interest.
Oh, yes, interest, yes.
The more money that you have paid in towards your deadline, you get a percentage back at the end of every round on the slot machine. And interest can become a huge factor. And as it often is in these games, it feels like interest is the key. But where it's fascinating is you have these firm deadlines. You can't exceed the deadline and not increase the difficulty and introduce the new deadline. And so there is a ceiling on how high your interest can go during each deadline that comes through. And that is sort of a fascinating, because, generally speaking, interest mechanics in these games, it's all about, okay, just pump it in, let that, let that compound. And here, it puts a barrier, it puts a cap on that ability. And yet, interest still, I'm finding, is becoming the more valuable tool.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like, any time that you can get that amount of money deposited to one increment below completion before you do anything else.
Yeah. Well, then they start to introduce symbols that are called combo symbols. And every time a combo symbol scores, you get half of your interest value added to. And as the numbers increase, as the numbers get into the billions and to the powers of, that racks up huge. And then once you have, there's, like many of these games, they have unlocks that are permanent and are sort of goal unlocks. Basically, after X number of deadlines, you'll be presented with a final deadline that unlocks a key that lets you open a drawer. And the drawers are useful because drawers let you store things in them. You have a limited amount of space for charms, and so you can swap them out in the drawer, or have one's effect no longer be applied because you stuck it in a drawer, but you still want to use it later.
The experience of putting a thing in the drawer for the first time absolutely broke me. I was not ready for the experience of putting something in the drawer.
Yeah. Were you?
It's a very mean game, this.
Were you ready for the experience of having left something in a drawer after a deadline?
Well, that's what I mean. I put it in the drawer because my assumption was I put it in the drawer next after this run ends. I'll open the drawer and get it back out, and I'll have it to start the next run with. That is not how that mechanic functions.
No, but it is. But I think that's the key mechanic. I think that's the end game mechanic.
I am very much under the impression that once all of those drawers are unlocked, if I put things in every drawer and equip things from every drawer, that is how I will progress.
Yeah, that is the final progression path. But it's not necessary, I think, at the point that I'm at right now, which is having unlocked all of the drawers.
Interesting. I'm still working on unlocking the drawers.
And I think the key to leave the room is what's available now. I think. But the other thing that has now been introduced as a result of having reached those drawers, spoilers for CloverPit, that 666, it ain't limited to what you earned anymore.
Oh, that's fucking terrifying.
It's limited to what you're holding.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
One of the cruel mechanics of the game is that the pattern of a 666 gets introduced after your first couple of deadlines. Getting hit with a 666, and it only appears in the very center of the slot machine, at least at this point. God knows. I'm terrified at the prospect. And it makes a drama of it. It slows everything down when the sixes start coming in. And you're only supposed to have a 1.5% chance of hitting this. I have thoughts about why I hit it 3 times in a row. But when that hits, it empties out anything that you had earned in that series of spins. And then that's a mechanic that's exploitable too. There's an item that gives you plus 10 luck to your next roll after a 666 spin.
I like the one that changes the middle line of your thing.
Yes.
And that whole line becoming something else and not the 666 anymore.
I love it when that gets saved. And then if you have both of those together, as I did, you're kind of looking forward to the 666 now. Because there's a decent chance that it's going to get cleared out by the other ability. Or I also had the item that if the 666 comes up, it just changes those symbols to something else, and there's a 50% chance it gets destroyed.
The sort of Bible thing.
Yeah, and so the world was my oyster with regard to the 666. It did not fucking matter to me. And so I was actually kind of hoping it would come up. It was, yeah. It's a neat game. I have some minor quibbles with some certain things. I would like there to be an eject button. I would like there to be a button that's just down and to the right of the ATM, or just on the gate below you, on the grate below you, that you can press and just immediately end the run and restart.
Yeah.
You can go into the file cabinet and then go to restart run and then do the confirm. I would like a tap and confirm to end the run.
Yeah, let me just slam the button and fall.
And I would like that also to function in the fail state moments. There is a sequence that happens where you are afforded time to do some things if you want to do some things in the last moments before you die. And I appreciate that it's there. I think it's necessary that it's there.
Yeah.
But I would also appreciate not being made to wait if I'm not choosing to do that. But that's my one big complaint.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I'm having a great time with it.
Yeah.
I'm losing a lot of time to it. It's a very Moorish kind of game.
Yes, very hard to tear yourself away from. Which
the game knows.
Oh God, it knows, because it references in your quit menu.
Yes, the quit menu is you sure you're going to put it down this time? No more, one more run, huh?
Do you think you can quit? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
no.
It's good.
Let you say it.
Yeah. Got the tone right, and yeah, it's a good vibe. I'm enjoying it. Definitely worth checking out. Steph, I think you'd get a kick out of it.
I mean, it sounded like my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
I think you'll dig it. I missed last week's recording, so I don't know if either of you have played one of the games that's been doing the rounds recently for people. Have either of you played Megabonk?
No.
No.
Okay. Megabonk is a really interesting Vampire Survivors-esque game that I want to put you both onto as being worth trying. It is a third-person 3D Vampire Survivors-like. But the main difference with it, other than its sort of like perspective and its art style, which is a sort of retro, deliberately polygonal, low frame ratey 3D animation style, is that in a way that's more like something like Risk of Rain almost, you are not simply trying to survive until the timer runs out on a level. What you are trying to do is locate an exit that has been randomly placed somewhere in the level, and defeat the hard boss that it summons before the time runs out to go through the gate to the next area. You can treat it like trying to survive until the time limit runs out, and there is similar mechanics for you've gone into overtime and very strong things are coming to kill you, and trying to find ways to survive that. But the progression is about every 10 minutes or so you need to have found a gateway, beaten a boss, done whatever final scrounging for resources you want to do, get through the gate, go to the next area. It has some differences to something like Vampire Survivors. Fundamentally, it's very similar in that aspect of you have auto-attacking weapons. Some of them are very similar to ones that you would see in Vampire Survivors. You have secondary equipment that you have separate slots for. But notably, you start with only 2 slots for weapons and 2 for accessories on each character, and being able to increase the number of things you can equip them with is something you unlock over time. Early on, it is pick a couple of things and have a very small attempt at synergy, and work toward bigger builds as a more long-term thing you're doing with the character. I like its sense of humor a lot. One of the early characters I unlocked that I enjoyed that was the garlic equivalent from Vampire Survivors is Giga Chad, who is a topless man his very aura is what is damaging enemies. You are leveling up his big masculine aura that is, as he does very silly muscle poses that I've been enjoying a lot. It is very satisfying. I like that there is a good sense of progression with very clear quests to do to unlock more characters, accessories, weapons that are added to your overall available pool that might come up. But also that very separately there is the Vampire Survivors style stat increases that you can do over time. There's a few neat little tweaks that I do like. The way that treasure chests in this work is that they cost gold that you get from that enemies will drop to open treasure chests, but the amount of gold they require exponentially increases, so it gets harder to open chests the more of them you unlock. There's some nice little mechanics for things like the way that I usually end up playing a Vampire Survivors when starting out at it is just be constantly backing away and walking away from the threats. There's a lot of totems that will give you, very powerful upgrades to your character if you stay within a small vicinity of them while, a meter rises, forcing you to stand your ground and not back away if you want those upgrades, and that's pretty cool. A lot of tools for, if you think your build is strong enough to handle, multiples of the next boss that comes in, you can get upgrades for deliberately going, summon 2 or 3 of the next boss in. Make me, really work for this. But yeah, it's doing enough differently that it feels distinct and, I'm getting a different experience out of it than Vampire Survivors, while scratching a lot of the same itch. Yeah, I think it's well worth checking out.
It looks neat, just based on what I'm seeing on the trailer here. It's cool.
Yeah, it's got a cool art style to it. I don't have a huge amount to say other than that it's one of the more satisfying Vampire Survivors-esque things that I've seen released recently, and I do think it's one of the ones that is worth giving a go.
I like this still here of a skeleton doing a sick kickflip. It's really cool.
I do enjoy, early on there is just a gorilla in a baseball cap that's quite a fun character.
Down with that. Yeah, this looks fun.
Anyone played anything else this week?
I played Silent Hill F, but I kind of don't want to talk about it. Because I've got very long, complicated thoughts, and thinking them and also playing the game exhausts me. I will simply say it is shocking how much of a throwback it is in terms of capturing what a PlayStation 2 era survival horror felt like. And I mean that for good and ill. Other than that, that is one of the most fucking awful inventory limits I've ever seen in a game. Borderline ruinous. But other than that, many complicated thoughts, and I'm very tired of thinking about the game, and I'm not looking forward to trying to review it. Very complicated thoughts. Less complicated are my thoughts on Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which, having played more since I mentioned it last week, that is possibly the smoothest kart racer game I've ever played. That game is a pleasure to just handle. I really like how fluid the controls are on that. I got into it a lot. Got a poor impression from the network test, but the final product, I have been well into it.
I'm assuming you played it on not Switch.
I did end up going on
test,
the PS5 with it, yeah.
Honestly, I do feel like the shockingly bad visual quality on Switch 2 was the thing that gave me the worst impression.
Oh, absolutely.
I should give it another go, not on Switch 2.
The issue I had with the multiplayer, like the online, in that it was so chaotic and I couldn't tell what was going on, didn't have that issue at all on the PS5.
Yeah.
In fact, it feels like a very straightforward and balanced game. It's nice to play a game for which the items do not completely dominate the way it did in Mario Kart World. I think they really balanced it between having defensive and offensive items that give everyone a chance without making anyone feel completely fucked over if they're unlucky. They worked really hard, I think, on making as balanced an experience as possible. You can be at egg porn, which is the best bit. You can be one of Robotnik's just little generic robot guys, and I'm always a mark for, like, mook enemies in these spin-off games. So it's been my main. Really good car designs, and I really like the customization options, which more arcade racers need. Yeah, solid, really good. No, more than that. Like I gave it like an 8.5. I published a review yesterday. It's a genuinely great game, and I've had a real good time with it.
Yeah. I've got two I'm going to very quickly rattle through. Star Trek Resurgence I played, that was really fucking depressing. It looked to be like a Telltale-style adventure game based on Star Trek. 3 major problems. It looks like a fucking PS2 game, which I would have been able to put up with if, like, everything else about it had been fine. The presentation just feels cheap as all hell. Points in a Telltale game where you would be, like, walking around interacting with things in 3D space, here are just a JPEG that you move your cursor to highlight different things in the JPEG to click on. It feels really cheap. The worst problem, it crashes really frequently. And there is no autosave, like, no frequency of autosave, or ability to manually save when you want, and no ability to skim through text or skip cutscenes, which means after the second time I got 10 minutes in, it crashed, I rebooted it, and it expected me to sit patiently through 10 minutes, not able to speed up again to get back to where I was, and then it crashed a second time 10 minutes in. Fuck that game. But, on something nice, I played Ghost of Yotai. I really like Ghost of Yotai. I've got a review up on YouTube if people want to hear my more in-depth thoughts. As someone that didn't entirely vibe with with Ghost of Tsushima, the tweaks made in Ghost of Yotai make it way more the kind of game I am into. I really struggled to ever get too emotionally invested in Ghost of Tsushima's protagonist. I think that Atsu, the main character in Ghost of Yotai, way more interesting of a character to follow and to play as. I really like a lot of the little tweaks that have been done to make standing your ground in the face of combat a little more viable, where Ghost of Tsushima was very, you attack from the shadows unseen, you need to get as far through a fight as you can without being spotted or you are fucked. You've got a few more tools at your advantage in Ghost of Yotai to go, sure, I have been seen, I'm not gonna let that stop me. it's a very different feel in terms of, like, Ghost of Tsushima was, I am the ghost that kills without being seen, as opposed to this, where it's like, oh, I am the kind of ghost that seeing me won't stop me killing you. I will just violently and soaked in blood come further toward you. Spent about 30 hours with it on a first playthrough. There is a lot of really nicely side-posted side content. If you just want to play through the main story, ignoring side content, it's very viable to do that. But a lot of the side content has some really nicely written characters. Also, the biggest quality of life change, characters in escort missions, which there are a lot of, match their speed to yours. If you are walking, they will walk, keeping pace in front of you. If you run, they will start running, keeping pace in front of you. If you get on their horse, they'll get on their horse and keep pace in front of you. So bloody nice. But yeah, we got time for a couple of news bits before we wrap up today.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, you can get these out the way quick. None of these... we need to talk about them, but they're going to be tiring. We had some progress on the Microsoft front. We talked a while ago about the fact that it became clear that Microsoft's cloud services were being pretty heavily used by the IDF in illegal actions against the people in Palestine. And
by which the entirety of the Israeli state is focused on that, and we should just keep in mind that any sort of support of that regime or its government or, whatever, that is complicity. So, just so we're clear.
Yeah, just so we are clear. Microsoft has removed access to Azure Cloud Services for one unit within the IDF.
Good old Unit 8200.
Yeah, the specifics here is basically... there was a report by The Guardian last summer that made claims about multiple units of the IDF using Azure Cloud for multiple illegal activities. This unit that was mentioned had been using it to illegally track and surveil Palestinians. Microsoft has gone, we've done our own investigation. You are right, it is being used to illegally track and surveil Palestinians. We have removed access from that unit of the IDF. However, I saw this frequently being shared around as Microsoft has cut off all access to cloud services to the IDF.
So frustrating.
Yeah, that is not what happened. Because so many people I saw were sharing that going, oh, I can play Xbox games again. I'm like, no, Microsoft is still providing huge amounts of cloud services to lots of other units of the IDF who have been alleged to be doing war crimes using that cloud service, allegedly. So, positive progress, glad to see this happen. Keep that pressure up, this is not the end, Cole.
Yeah, no, it's... and they'd love nothing more than to just take this away from Unit 8200, which is like their NSA, basically.
Yeah.
Love to take that away from them and then have everybody be fine with them again. And to just not look over here at all of the other shit we're doing. But they're doing other shit. And lots of it. Count it as a win, as a victory, if you want, in the struggle. That's totally fine. Let it nourish you, if that's the case.
It is a step of the thing we are asking for. It proves that they are willing to budge on this. Make them budge further.
I have very little to say about a lot of this. Not only for the fact that what I mentioned earlier about the video hiatus, meaning that my anxiety can be down for a while. I don't know what to add because I simply think the game industry is full of filth. And
yeah.
I have nothing more I could add.
Yeah.
I look at what happens. I look at Microsoft. I look at who companies are courting to get in bed with, to be owned by, to help make lots of money. These people are excrement. Like, they are disgusting human beings. And I struggle to even, and this will sound bad, but I struggle to see them as human. Because they are so divorced from real people and reality and what actual human beings go through that I hope I never empathise with them. Because I don't I don't want to have the kind of brain that could empathize with something so alien.
That's the thing with some of these stories. I've got some lighter ones to talk about after. Some of them, it's important to acknowledge they've happened, but fuck, there's not really much to say.
I'm not saying it's wrong for y'all to bring up.
It is fair to have nothing to add.
Yeah, and I don't want people to think I'm just being quiet for the sake of it or because I don't want to have an opinion.
I don't think anyone would think that of you. I want to be clear, I think everyone understands that sometimes it's just fucking tiring and there's not much to add to it.
And it's repetitive.
Yeah. We'll get the other one out the way, the other bit of grim industry news. EA is being acquired for $55 billion by a series of investment firms. The two big ones are the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund and Affinity Partners, whose CEO is Jared Kushner.
What strange bedfellows, the Saudis and the Trump family. How odd.
Yeah, so from what has been reported, it seems that Jared Kushner basically reached out to the Saudi Public Investment Fund and went, hey, United States companies don't typically like to be invested in by you, but if you, sidle up with us on an investment, it'll probably be fine. Andrew Wilson at EA insists that nothing will change at the company. Right, which is fucking laughable. I've had this conversation with a few people. I think that the Saudi Public Investment Fund is less likely to put pressure to change the content of games than Kushner's fucking company. I feel like association with the United States government is more imminently likely to get pushes for changes in the content of your game now.
Considering America is currently under rule of a fascist regime that wants to install a dictator for life and has exhibited huge amounts of influence over media and has shown a keen interest in active censorship and active betrayal of the idea of free speech. There is no fucking way they're not going to get involved.
I would say for the Public Investment Fund, they have clearly put efforts on companies they've invested in to create content that is positive about the area. There is an example of that Assassin's Creed Mirage DLC set in ancient Arabia that reportedly was funded by their investment. It was a condition of their investment from the PIF. But the PIF is largely trying to get money from outside companies, outside countries, and launder their reputation. So generally, they've not pressured companies they've invested in, at least not in the short term, to remove, queer content, for example, from their games, because they want plausible deniability of, we're not as bad as you say we are, is a big aim of what that fund is trying to achieve.
Yeah, I have far fewer concerns about U.S. government interference in the content. Because they've been in bed with the government a long time.
Yeah, it's not untrue, untrue.
The Battlefield games all use, U.S. military equipment, and that requires a partnership with DoD that gives them, editorial control. So
I would say the potential difference is EA or any of these companies really going from keeping them sweet to being actively told what to do. Because I think a lot of the time they're willingly volunteering to put the propaganda in, but a lot of the time that's where it stops. And it can get so much worse. There's no bottom floor anymore. There probably never was, but we're seeing that there's no depth of depravity that won't be sunk to in time.
I do think, and this is not my joke, and it's not really a joke, but I did hear someone point out that, maybe Battlefield will have to come up with a non-Muslim villain now, which I thought was funny.
Yeah,
but also kind of true.
Yeah,
and but that's that. I will say, okay, yeah, things are not looking good if the next Battlefield has them going into American cities to get rid of immigrants.
I'd say they could do what they used to do and just have the Russians as the stand-ins, but we can't fucking have that either now.
No, we're running out of villains that we can portray in a negative light.
And yet we have more villains
than
outside
ever.
of video games than ever, yeah. Fucking hell. I'm so glad that I'm 41. I'm so glad that I do not have as long on this earth as many people, and I fucking hate that I genuinely think that's positive.
Been saying it for a decade.
I've got some silly things to end up on, so we're not ending the show on like the most miserable end.
Okay.
I kind of want to touch on this story. I assume that neither of you particularly mind being spoiled on a DC superhero TV show currently airing called Peacemaker.
No, Olive. I've heard good things, but I haven't bothered watching.
I've heard good things. I don't think the fact that, like, as someone who hasn't watched it but does intend to watch it, I don't think this spoiler is going to impede my ability to enjoy this show. So, let me set the scene. There's this show called Peacemaker. You've got John Cena being your big superhero. And the season that's currently running has had John Cena's superhero go to an alternate reality. Now, this season, its intro's interesting. It's got John Cena doing this little dance where his arms go up and down, and it's an odd little dance. And the people who make the TV show reached out to Epic Games to get John Cena in this dance put in Fortnite. You know, just like a little brand tie-in. Fortnite loves having the new little dance that's in a TV show that's popular. Now is where I get to spoilers, because this is fucking hilarious. John Cena has been spending the season in a Nazi alternate universe of America, and he has not noticed, because he's a white guy who is fucking oblivious to the privilege of being a white guy in Nazi America.
Oh, that's good.
And, like, the season's been full of, like, there has been a lot of, like, non-white people in the background until he moved to this new universe, and it's all fucking white people and shit like that. The dance in the season opening is him doing a fucking swastika with his arms.
Oh, no.
He's making his arms into a fucking swastika. That's what the dance is.
And they got Fortnite. Oh, my God.
Yeah, Fortnite had a popular dance emote. Epic were not aware of this. James Gunn did not tell Epic that this was the reveal for this dance, is that this dance is a dog whistle in plain sight to make commentary about how innocuously hidden in plain sight Nazi dog whistles can end up.
Oh, wow, that's so good.
It's fucking fascinating, right? Epic Games, as soon as the episode aired, took the emote out of the game,
You don't say.
Citing revelations about the dance not revealed in advance of our collaboration.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of, like, my brain is so media poisoned and so corporate poisoned that, like, for a second there I thought, I wonder if they knew. I wonder if this was all a ploy and, you know, to get attention and so forth. And I'm like, no, nobody's gonna let someone hide Nazi shit in their product.
I respect the fucking balls on, we are making a season of TV about how white people do not notice the Nazi shit creeping in around them.
As the Nazi shit creeps in around them?
Yeah, and to get that as a fucking dance in Fortnite without telling them is, I respect the creative ambitions involved.
And the execution, because it fucking worked.
I got one other story for you, and I'm not going to dig into this one beyond the headline. I just want to read you from Games Radar my favourite headline I read this week. Hideo Kojima wants to scan a ghost into his next game, but he already recorded the ghost in his studio. And that's why he went to a shrine with Microsoft to make sure the game isn't haunted. Quote. Oh, you've got to let me do the subhead quote.
Oh, please.
I want to scan a ghost for the first time, and I want to get an award for that.
Oh God. And the thing is you don't know if he believes it or not. Oh God, I love that absolute banana.
There's a whole news story there, but honestly, don't bother with it. That's what brightened my week this week, was this headline.
Oh, bless.
I want Hideo Kojima to take all of the resources and all of his knowledge and all of his skills and produce a Ghost Hunters spin-off. I just want to watch Hideo Kojima ghost hunt. Oh, that'd be so good.
You see, he could take all those things. Do you want to know what I want him to take? Shrooms. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
I would not be surprised if psychedelics are somewhere in his history.
Possibly, yeah.
I would be surprised if not.
I would. I would do criminal things to, well, literally, to be in the room with him while he's on something. Because I think it would be incredible.
So there you go, that's your little brightener for this week.
Yeah.
Kojima wants to scan a ghost and get an award.
I just feel bad for the translator, having to remain sober in the room. During this, nightmare joint rotation involving Hideo Kojima.
I mean, if you're taking psychedelics, it is always good to have, that touchstone person there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, someone's got to be.
Get a straight edge.
Yeah. You gotta have someone who can see the world the way normal people are seeing it, just to ground you. It's important.
Unfortunately, I don't have any shrooms on me, but if I wanted to take a trip to the internet to get some quality content, I wonder if Laura could provide that.
Oh, me? Probably. Laura K. Buzz, find the stuff what I'm doing. Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills, patreon.com/Laura K. Buzz. I've updated my Patreon, so it's got a little collections tab, so if you just want to find, all of the Podquisition episodes or all of the Control-Alt accesses or, a specific series, you can find those all collected together on the Patreon, stuff like that. Go check out my, 20-plus minute long Ghost of Yotai review over on youtube.com/Laura K. Buzz. There is a new Control-Alt access that is up, in which we talk about using cheats in Stardew Valley to have a better experience. That should be up by the time you hear this. Probably some other stuff. There'll be a piece by me on Slate.com. Again, I think by the time you hear this, talking about EA's acquisition and the fears that members of certain communities, like the Sims community particularly, have about the future of queer content in that series. I'm really happy with that article. I hope people go check it out. What about you, Conrad? Where are you at on the internet?
Oh, you could find me at Conrad Zimmerman on Blue Sky, and you can hang out with me on Twitch at twitch.tv/thatconradzimmerman. I'm on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. You can buy anti-capitalist propaganda and Jimquisition merchandise at mercenarycreative.com. And everything I do online gets supported through Patreon at patreon.com/fistshark. And you know who else has a Patreon? Stephanie Sterling.
More importantly, I have the Joker that creates a copy of a card if you play it as its own thing with the blueprint. So I'm getting 2 copies of those cards, right? The card I'm using is a king with a red seal on it. I also have the Joker that gives you a multiplier for each king in your hand, and the legendary that gives you a multiplier for each king that's played. I am scoring I've just hit 55 million around. I love this game, and I just wanted to bring that up.
I'm glad to hear you are starting to hit the silly numbers.
I'm making a deck full of kings with red seals, and I'm moving the blueprint around to double up. Oh, what a great day! But yes,
you got so much still to see. I'm excited for you.
I'm looking forward to it. But in the meantime, I do have a Patreon. It is patreon.com/Jimquisition, which supports this podcast and reviews on thejimquisition.com. There's a review currently for Sonic Racing and one for Dying Light the Beast. Videos still on hiatus. They are coming back. Just things have... The amount of writing work I've got, plus the still trying to get settled in the new place. It's been a whole thing. But no, it's not dead. That will be back. My next confirmed wrestling date, I will have one earlier, but it's not been announced yet, but I will be in Manchester again, October 26th, with Pinfall Wrestling. Do come along if you want to. I normally bring this really lovely sort of queer crowds. They sort of come to see me, and it's a really chill, nice time. Other than that, check out Vampire Survivors and Date Everything and Quantum Witch, 3 games I've had the pleasure of working on. And Vampire Survivors The Grimoire is a Law book by Titan Books coming out next year, co-authored by myself and Paul Davis. So do check that out as well. And thank you so much for listening and all of your support, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.